The chill of the early morning air brushed against Jake's skin as he rowed his small boat across the still waters of Blackwater Lake. The dense fog that clung to the surface seemed almost alive, swirling in patterns that played tricks on his eyes. He had heard the stories, of course, the legends whispered by the old-timers at the bait shop about the lake's dark past. But Jake was not one for ghost stories. To him, Blackwater was just another spot to catch the elusive bass that had earned the lake its reputation among local anglers. As the sun began to pierce through the fog, casting an eerie, golden light over the lake, Jake cast his line and settled into the familiar rhythm of fishing. The silence was almost tangible, broken only by the soft lapping of water against the boat and the occasional call of a distant loon. Hours passed, and Jake found himself lulled into a meditative state, his thoughts drifting like the mist around him. It was mid-afternoon when Jake felt the first tug on his line. The sudden, powerful jerk snapped him out of his reverie. He gripped the rod tightly, feeling the resistance on the other end. Whatever was on his line was strong, stronger than any bass he had ever encountered. His heart pounded with a mixture of excitement and trepidation as he began to reel it in, the line straining under the weight. Minutes stretched into an eternity as Jake battled with his unseen adversary. The fog thickened around him, muting the world into a shadowy blur. Finally, with a final, heaving pull, Jake brought his catch to the surface. But instead of the gleaming scales of a fish, he was met with a sight that froze his blood. Entangled in his line was an old, leather-bound book, waterlogged and encrusted with mud. The cover was adorned with strange, indecipherable symbols that seemed to writhe and twist as he looked at them. Jake's curiosity overcame his unease, and he carefully untangled the book, placing it in the bottom of the boat. As he continued fishing, the fog around him seemed to thicken further, and the lake grew unnaturally silent. Jake's mind kept drifting back to the book, an inexplicable urge to open it gnawing at him. He tried to shake off the feeling, focusing on the water and the occasional ripples that signaled the presence of fish. But the silence was oppressive, pressing in on him like a physical weight. Unable to resist any longer, Jake picked up the book, his fingers trembling. He opened the cover, revealing pages filled with strange, spidery handwriting. As he flipped through the pages, a sense of unease grew within him. The words seemed to crawl off the paper, and a low hum filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. Suddenly, the boat rocked violently, and Jake's heart leapt into his throat. He dropped the book, and it fell open to a page covered in cryptic symbols. The fog around him seemed to pulse, and Jake felt a presence, something ancient and malevolent, watching him from the depths of the lake. Panicked, Jake tried to start the motor, but it sputtered and died. He grabbed the oars, rowing frantically, but the boat seemed to go nowhere. The fog closed in, becoming a dense, suffocating wall. The low hum grew into a deafening roar, and Jake's vision blurred. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the noise stopped. The fog lifted, revealing the clear waters of Blackwater Lake and the distant shore. Jake's heart pounded in his chest as he looked around, expecting to see something, anything, that could explain what had just happened. But the lake was calm, the fog dissipating under the afternoon sun. Jake's eyes fell on the book, now lying closed at his feet. He grabbed it and hurled it into the water, watching as it sank into the depths. The water swallowed it greedily, leaving no trace. With shaking hands, he started the motor, relief flooding through him as it roared to life. He steered the boat back to shore, his mind reeling from the experience. As Jake tied up his boat and gathered his gear, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. He glanced back at the lake, half expecting to see something emerge from the water. But the surface was calm, reflecting the golden light of the setting sun. Jake never returned to Blackwater Lake. He couldn't explain what had happened that day, but he knew one thing for certain. Some mysteries were best left undisturbed. The echoes of Blackwater Lake would haunt him forever, a reminder of the dark secrets that lay hidden beneath its serene surface.